Risk is a concept that everybody's aware of. There's all kinds of risks. There's risk of crime, et cetera. And in this day and age, cyber risk is really one of the biggest risks that you can face. So then what are the things that you can do that are strategic in your business, that are affordable, that fit the size of your business, that could help minimize that risk?
A chief information officer can be expensive to bring on board and manage, but hiring a virtual chief information officer or a vCIO in Boston and surrounding areas can be the perfect fit for your business needs. To learn about how to find, interview, and hire a virtual CIO, I'm joined by Ann Westerheim. She's the CEO of Ekaru, a managed IT service provider here in Boston. Hi, Ann. How are you?
Hey there, Raj. Great to be here with you today.
Let's talk about what a vCIO is. So, could you define what a virtual CIO in Boston would be?
Okay, great. Well, larger businesses have a chief executive officer, a chief operating officer, a chief marketing officer, and also a chief information officer. And that's the top person in the company who's responsible for information technology, data, technology, strategy in general. So if you're a much smaller firm, you're not going to have the staff size to support a full-time person doing that. And that's where you get into the virtual CIO or fractional CIO.
Okay. Now, why would someone consider using a virtual CIO?
Well, in today's world, technology is such an important part of our daily lives. It's such an important part of business. So even if you're the 5, 10, 20 person local business, technology strategy is really important to you. So a lot of times there's somebody in the company who's kind of tech savvy and maybe gives inputs on things, or the owner of the business goes out to conferences, tries to do the best that they can, but it's not really their own area of expertise, and it's not their main focus of interest either. So
Mhm.
by having a virtual CIO, you can have somebody to work with you to help provide strategy, somebody who's in the field all the time, reading about it, learning about what's new, who's kind of tapped into the whole market. You get access to that, but on a fractional basis. That becomes affordable for the business.
That's really nice. So, a virtual CIO is to some degree synonymous with a fractional CIO for a small business.
Yeah, and it's so a 5, 10 person firm is not going to be able to have or afford one person to play that role, one person with the right background, expertise, and skills to be able to do that role. But yet, uh, you want to be competitive with respect to your technology, and you want to be compliant and do all the things that are required in this day and age. So being able to tap into somebody else with that expertise is kind of it's a win-win.
Let's talk about some of the things that a vCIO would do. Can you talk about the strategic planning and the implementation of a small business company's IT? Uh, what would a vCIO do?
Yeah, so a lot of technology is sort of day-to-day transactional stuff. So we all have email, we have computers and monitors and printers, and there's a transactional component of IT support that just keeps all of that running. Then there's another aspect of technology that says, well, what technology should we have in place for our accounting firm? How do we go paperless? What scanning software should we be using? What technology, what physical scanners should we have? Should we have a small scanner on everybody's desk, one central scanner? How do we get those scanned documents into our line of business applications? That's more of what a chief information officer would help tackle. It's the strategy behind the IT as compared to that day to day, hey, I can't scan right now. Can you fix this for me?
So you would say it's a higher level role that kind of oversees all of the things that you should be doing. And then actually at Ikara, you've got people that would do all of the other stuff to provide that kind of support too. So they kind of work together.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, maybe a company is moving from a Gmail platform to a 365 platform. There might be different reasons that they're doing it. There's an entire strategy around why you would want to do that. Are there any benefits to the business? Should the business be using Microsoft Teams, et cetera? How does that all tie into their overall framework? Can you link the teams into the VoIP system? That's something a CIO would think about. So when we engage working with a small business, we typically do the whole spectrum. So there's always the day-to-day technology that needs to be addressed. But if you can do a business operation more strategically or more efficiently, that's a big cost savings for a business. It's also a big competitive advantage because it's going to make that small business a lot more attractive for their end clients to work with because it's just easier to work with them. Think of DocuSign these days. It's uh, pretty common, but in the past, you'd have to print out a proposal, maybe fax it to somebody. They would fax it back with a signature, and so things like that. But how do you know which ones are the right ones that fit your business? And that's where the chief information officer can really help.
Let's go into some of the other things that a vCIO would do. So, vCIO services could also include things like risk management, cybersecurity. So, could you highlight the role of a virtual CIO in managing IT risks and enhancing a small